Boom, boom. How's it going? How's it going? It is I, your boy again, and welcome to M5 Successful Friends. And today we got someone else in the house. Yeah. And this guy is here well, I don't know whether he calls himself Michael or his parents just called him Michael. But it is Michael Bowen. Michael, how's it going? And welcome aboard to M5 Successful Friends.
TJ, thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm super excited about this. I love watching you guys. I love what you do. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Awesome stuff. Who's Michael? And what does Michael do?
Who is Michael and what is Michael? That's a nice little quick intro, easy question, isn't it? Yeah. Michael is a lot of things, and Michael loves being busy. My name is Michael Bowen. I am an employee, a 9-to-5 paid to employee. I'm also a property investor. I'm also a business owner. I do some coaching. I do some speaking, also on property. And yeah, that is in a nutshell what I do. Who is Michael though? Michael is someone who was born in the UK and left when he was 2, came to South Africa. South Africa's in the heart, always has been. Yeah. Always loved this place. I had the opportunity to go travel when I was 21, and I did, and I got to see a lot of places, 42 countries so far and counting. I love to kind of get out there and see it.
My man.
Yeah, I love it. And my first round the world flight was paid for by a property.
Oh yeah.
Yep. That is what bit me.
That's nice.
I literally refinanced the property that I had. I got 20,000 euros out of it. I paid for an MBA. They gave me a tax break at the end of the year on the MBA. I got 6,000 euros back, and I took a 6-week around the world trip paid for by the property that I invested into. So the power of property is immense. It fuels what I do and what I love. And that was my little bite-in moment to go, oh, this really works. This is so cool.
Awesome stuff. There's a lot to talk about you. Already you says to me, you're a 9-to-5 guy, you got a business and you do property on the side. And I'm like thinking, okay, how do you fit in all of this? But we're going to talk to it a little bit later as we go along. But here's what I want to ask you. I've traveled throughout in Africa, and I haven't really counted actually how many countries I've been to. But for you, you've been counting. You're at 42, right? Tell me of your top 5 countries that you would visit anytime and why.
Oh, easy. So number 1 will be Fiji. Fiji.
All right.
The people there.
Oh, look at your face. You're like, oh, Fiji. She's so beautiful.
Oh man, the people are awesome. They play rugby. Yeah. The diving is second to none. I went diving with bull sharks. The weather is fantastic. The beaches are beautiful. I could literally go on a tropical bush everywhere. They are so relaxed. They're so just in tune with themselves and have no corporate-y kind of mentality. They're just like, just enjoy life.
Really?
Yeah, my number 1 by far. Number 2 would be Czech Republic, Prague. Yeah. Prague is stunning. I don't know if you've been to Prague.
No.
No, go. It is beautiful. It's old. It's history. It's got these little places like little underground bars where you go into these buildings that were built hundreds of years ago. And they've built it into like a monolithic bar, which is beautiful. People are great, so chilled. The trams run all night long. So if you want to go out and have a couple of drinks, it doesn't matter. You just get on a tram. You can go to the next place or go home. It's just great. Everything runs smoothly. Number 3, in the States, I would go with Miami. Love Miami. It's got this buzz about it. That is it's got a buzz. It really is. This kind of like go-getter attitude. It's the American dream on kind of steroids. It's a great place. Number 4, Dubai. Actually, no, I'd put Oman. I'd put Oman before Dubai. But Dubai I'd put as number 5. Then Middle East is a great place. It's peaceful. I lived there for 4.5 years. When I left, I had to give the front door key back, and I went, I've never used it. I just didn't know that I had a front door key, I would just leave it open.
Really?
Secure. Yeah, it's just so secure, so safe, friendly. The mosques in the local area where there's expats area would do the call to prayer in English.
Yeah.
So it's really just welcoming kind of place. You just got to live away from the glitz and the glam, and you can have a great life. It's beautiful. So those are my top 5 places I'd recommend for anybody to go and visit. Fantastic places. Yeah, go visit. That's all I can say.
Amazing. Michael, I don't know whether property has allowed you to visit some of these places. But I mean, you mentioned that at one point you refinanced the deal, you got £20,000 out of it, and you kind of like globe-trotted for a while. And the question that I want to ask you is, you do property as a side business. You got 2 businesses, so property is your side business. And why property for you?
I think, like you say, it was that first little nibble. You know, for a long time I'd been watching it, and I'd kind of like not really taken the step. And then when I took the step and it started to happen, I was like, this is weird, you know, I've just refinanced this property and now I've got all this money, which I'm going to use to actually upskill my level of education with. And then once I had the education, I got a tax rebate, and it was just fantastic. It was that nibble of aligning the things that I love. I love to learn, and I love to share. And I love doing that. And when I got to travel, I was learning culture, people, personalities, styles, everything around that. And then I got to share, you know, everywhere I went around the world, they was kind of like, where are you from? I was like, from South Africa. And in some countries that I've been to, they're like, oh, really? You know, it's like getting all these questions like, do you ride an elephant to work in the morning? I'm like, no, guys, it's not like that. The idea that you have in your head is vastly different. Like they ask you silly questions like, you know, do you have an inside toilet? I'm like, of course we have inside toilets. You know, like, what are you doing? And you get all these questions, but then you can just share about it and show them pictures, and you get people going, oh, wow. And then since then, I've probably had about 10, at least 20 probably, people that I've met on the travels come to South Africa, come to Cape Town, come to Joburg, and to see what it's about. And I've loved that idea. You know, sometimes it's been, last one was here 3 months ago. So it's 19 years ago I met the guy. And then he was here finally 3 months ago he came over. And that's why I like property. That's how it kind of got me started in it. And I always knew it was a long-term wealth builder. I knew it wasn't going to be a quick win for me, and that I could just slowly over time just keep slowly building. And now it's ramping. Last 3 years.
So you've been at it for a while. You know, you've been at it longer than myself. But how did you actually get into it? How did it happen?
So I did the epitome. Yeah. So I'm a star profile, and I don't know if you know anything about the wealth dynamics, star profile personalities. We say yes first, and then we figure it out later, which isn't the best of ideas to do in business. And it's a reason why I partnered with a mechanic profile who's a lot more considerate and very detail oriented, and the two of us together balance each other out. But I read the book, and everyone knows what the book is. It's that Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And everybody's read the book, and everyone went, wow, this is awesome. You know, I've read the book. I know everything there is to know about property. And I went, right, I'm going to go buy property. And I went and bought a property.
And when was this, Mike?
2003.
Right.
So what's that, 17, 18 years ago now. Bought the property.
Yeah.
Lost 14,000 euros in the first month.
Really?
I didn't know about the property clock back then. I didn't know about, you know.
What do you mean by that?
So prices come and go as it goes to the property clock. South Africa's got a 7 to 23 year kind of property clock, and you'll see what happens is, you know, property prices increase, and then buyers start to slow down, and they stabilize, and then buyers start to come, and then it kind of goes all the way around the clock with rentals increasing, property kind of prices to buy stabilizing, and then rentals almost decreasing and property values increasing. It just keeps on going. Sure. It's an eternal kind of slow uphill value that no matter. One of the Swedish guys I really admire was his philosophy was, how do you make it? He's like, I just buy property and over time it goes up in value. He's like, I don't know why, it just does. So I love that philosophy that if you just keep buying, it always will go up for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know about that whole property clock, and I just hit the timing wrong. And as I hit the timing wrong, it also went through a recession. Boom, and that recession hit me hard. Around 14,000 euros in month one. Fortunately, it's the same now as in COVID. It's also hit that bit of a downer in some senses. A lot of areas are feeling that pinch. Cape Town is really feeling that pinch. No international investors, and it's starting to, especially in the upper market, where the normal South Africans don't operate. And that's what we need, normal homes for normal South Africans. So yeah, that's what really got me into property. And fortunately,
if you have lost that kind of money, surely property doesn't work. You read a book and get you excited, and it's read by a guy speaks very American but looks very Japanese, and everything in it now looks like a gimmick, and boom, you lose money. A lot of people would walk away and say, this was a scam, it doesn't work. But you come back to it and you want to do more. How did you come around out of that? It's a lot of money in pounds.
So I remember when it happened, and it was literally 19 days. And I remember on that day 19, I remember I was in the kitchen. I remember it like it was yesterday. And, the money was now tight because I bought the place and had to fix it all up. And I remember having this potato mash powder, which you put into a pot and you had to stir it. And it was kind of going to be dinner for that night. And as I put it in, I kind of stirred it once, stirred it twice, and the whole thing exploded, this hot potato mash into my face. And I remember just jumping back, wiping this thing off and dropping down to the floor. And I just remember crying, like literally. And it wasn't one of those, I don't know why I'm telling you this. It wasn't one of those easy, like, kind of, it was one of those deep down in your heart, like, I've failed miserably. I'm now in debt. This whole thing, I've been scammed, everything like that. And after that, I kind of picked myself up and I went, okay, you've had your little pity party now. And it's an upbringing thing that I had is there's no such thing as failure. There's only learning. And that is the difference from what I see with people who make it. It's the perseverance. It's the 1% every single day, because 1% over a year is 365%. Everyone tries to do 100% in 1 week and think, didn't work, not going to try it ever again. If you just keep going 1% at a time, and I went, just keep going. And it did. It came back. I did a lot of refurb myself in the place, and I'm now sitting at about 150,000 euros positive from minus 14, and I'm making close to 600 euros a month doing next to no work. 600 euros a month is, what's that, 6,000, 9,000 rand a month. Just that's pure profit after everything I just collected. Like, okay. Yeah. It took me the 3 years to get into that, but I knew it worked. And I just sort of keep going. And that's one of the things I say to a lot of people, just keep going. It works. Just keep going.
I think sometimes you probably continue going because the option of, 14,000 pounds, that's euros, that's a lot of money. You're probably going because you don't want to lose more, or you're thinking that if you continue going, you are going to recover at some point, which is also deadly. I did the same thing, thinking that I'm going to come back, and the train just continued going down, and I lost quite a lot of money. But for you, now you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, first project, it fails. You are in where you stay now, in the UK at that time?
I was in Amsterdam at that point in time. And so I'd stayed there for 3 years after that to fix it up and actually make it look good. And as soon as I managed to get it fixed up, I think came back and the market had come back quite quickly. But I also looked at it I stopped at that point and I thought, okay, get analytical here. Is this going to drain money eternally, or what is going on? And I had a look around. I read a couple more books, around macroeconomics. And I understood, and I went, hang on a second, let's look at Amsterdam. That's where I was living in Amsterdam. There's a ring around Amsterdam, and all the developers have kind of moved out in concentric circles. And they just built the train station between central Amsterdam and Schiphol Airport, and mine was in the middle now. And I knew, going, okay, development's happening, train station's happening, expansion is happening, the city is growing, they've already got a housing shortage. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of decay. Investment was coming in the area. And that is the difference between another one that I did get out of in Joburg, where I'd bought it and almost made the mistake of going, I'm starting to really not make much money here. Do I hold on and hope and pray? Or do I take the little 20,000 Rand that I have made and walk away? And I walked away with the 20,000 Rand because I thought, holding on around this bit of decay coming rather than money being invested. So you have to kind of look bigger than just the area. Or I had to look bigger than just the area and go, what is really going on? And that's kind of how I went, keep going.
You strike me, I've known you for a bit now, but you strike me like one of those guys that that go out there, and when they see a deal, they dive in to kind of like almost want to overanalyze it around the property itself, the economy itself. So you want to, I don't want to say what's the term that I'm looking for? Overanalyze. But then again, your characteristics in which one you've just shared with me now is that you're one of those people that are like, well, it's a good deal, let's go, and then figure it out. Which is like two parallels of what I used to think of you. But again, in conversations, I can hear that you have this burning desire of wanting to know outside this what's on the surface, right? So you want to dive in a little bit more, which is the, what else is in there? How best can we extract it? And then the two deals that you're talking about here, it's exactly that. Where does that come from?
It comes from my why, and I've mentioned it earlier. I love to learn. And so when I've bought a property, I've dived in a lot. And with that, I've gone, what can I learn here? What else is there to learn? And what else can I try with it? And in some cases, it's just trial and error of going, well, it used to be anyway, of going, well, how can I divide this up and put somebody else in? Or could I try a different strategy here? And it's always been about that learning, and especially when it's been around learning and it's helped somebody else, because then I'm sharing that part of myself. Nowadays, I don't need to do the analysis part because intrinsically now I know it because I've got the experience and I've got the education together. That makes my intuition great. But I partner with someone now who's deeply analytical. So whilst I'd learned that skill from that very, very first lesson, which is analyze everything, there was a period of about almost 5 years, I would say, where I lost a lot of deals because I got burnt on the first one. And I was trying to over-analyze things, and I went into that mistake of going analyze. And what I was doing is I was looking for why it wouldn't work. And it took me 5 years to realize, hang on, but you haven't bought anything for almost 5 years now. Why? And I went, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith. You've done it, go with it. Now that I've got the partner, it's great because he comes forward and I can be me in my natural flow, which is to go, let's go and do it. And he comes in and going, well, this is why it wouldn't work. And together we go, well, how could it work? What could we do? And so the example in Bloemfontein recently is going, well, it's below market value. There is definitely value in here. What could it work as? And we turned it into an Airbnb and it's working well. It's to the point now where my other partner the other day said he's waiting for a gap in it to become available so that he can go on and can get somebody to do a testimonial for him and a 5-star rating, but it's always booked out. And so he can't do that. So it's finding the right strategy that suited that property now. And that's great. And I love that.
Yeah. But you touch on something that's very important, Michael. And I think a lot of people sit in that space. And the reason why I want to pinpoint that particular topic is that I was there at a point in my life where you have felt and there's opportunities that's going to come on your way. But because you're still subconsciously grieving off the failure that you had before, and as and when the opportunities are coming up, you don't see them. You see them, but you're always thinking of, but what else could go wrong in it? And this could be a very good deal that's coming up solid. You can walk into it and make money, but because you're just coming from a grieving perspective of you just lost some money somewhere else and you haven't dealt with it. And I want to talk to that in terms of, for you, how did you deal with it? Because I think people deal with that differently. You know, I recognized myself at a point before I started getting help. When I had lost some money, I literally went on, well, it will pass, you know? And I put my hand in the sand and they were calling, you know, they were knocking on my door, we want our money. Up until I realized, I'm like, flip, I need to do something. I need help. So I started looking for help, you know, and only to realize that help was always there anyways, but I wasn't ready to be helped. And when I started being helped, I got it right. Between my wife and I got it right first, but my wife was still, you know, in the grieving spot. So she grieved for a longer time than I did. And out of that, then we in the family started winning, but I was doing more of the work. And then she figured it out a little bit later, again in her own way. And then both of us started winning. Now, in your perspective, for me, the winning part was I recognized where I was and I asked for help. And there was plenty of that was around me. I was working at the bank at the time. There was a wellness program that they put me into, and boom, I got out of it, right? How did you manage that? Because a lot of people sit in a space like that, and potentially that train continues going down, and they don't get up. But you came up. So I mean, the two of us, we did. But how did you do it?
Yeah, wow, you're going to the deep point here, aren't you? Not even choking me up on that one.
I apologize.
No. I mean, it's right. I love it. I love the deep conversation. I think like you as well, you get into that rut of your own self and your mind starts to tell you you'll never do it. Your mind starts to say, is this real? Nothing works. And it even gets worse and you start hearing the voice talk like gremlin about failure and you're a failure. And so you stop reaching out for it. And it's a sad point. And I do remember being in it and thinking, this can't be right. This can't go on. How can I not be reaching anymore? It's not me. And I remember one day where it came from, I was listening to this guy and he was saying, if you break an arm or a leg, you would go to a doctor immediately. But if you have an emotional wound, you will sit there and you will let it fester in your own brain for a long time. And it's a hard thing to acknowledge to someone, especially on the stigma of society saying, you can't talk out as a man about the pain that you feel sometimes. Losing 14,000 euros, you feel like a complete failure. You're just like, I thought I was everything, and it cuts deep. And like yourself, you were saying, you recognize it on yourself and you have to ask for help. Once I'd opened up to a friend about it, I got acceptance. I didn't get negativity. And I mean, goosebumps all over now, I'm remembering it. He just started saying, it's okay. I just remember hearing that, it's okay, was one of the things that I went, right. And then I started to come out of that emotional kind of wound stage And then I realized it was actually a knowledge stage, because my emotions were high, and I do what a lot of people when their emotions are high. My emotion went high, my intellect went low. But as soon as I started taking care of my emotional intellect, so my intelligence started to really go back up again. My intelligence, or emotional intelligence at least. And it was just after I moved back to South Africa when I realized my reason for failure wasn't because I got it wrong. My reason for failure is because I did it alone. I did it without serious education and without having someone by my side who had done that. When I started doing the educational parts, it added more to me, and I went, I get this now. I get this on an intellectual level. When I got a coach, he broke that chasm down between educational side and the experience side. And there's this chasm in the middle. And once I went, okay, you're going to walk me from here to here because you've been there many times before, that I really started to get and really started to feel it. And that's how I really climbed out of that rut and climbed into making it. And it started with the first one. And then I went, huh. And then it started with the second one and the third one. And there were just little things that started to just come together. And I went, I'm going to get it wrong in the future again. And that's okay. And I still remember that's okay.
I think, Michael, you just hit it there. A lot of people think that once you start and you are in the success, you're not going to lose money. You can lose money, right? And real estate is one of those places where you can have like 5-10 successes and then boom, you just hit like a duck, and you can potentially lose money, even though you now have momentum. But it's important to actually recognize where you are and how you can manage with yourself and things like that. When you left for Europe, did you leave your parents here? Your parents, are they from the UK, or they stay in the UK, or they're here?
Yeah, so they came over to South Africa when I was young, and they moved to Joburg. And that time I only wanted 1 year. You know, you want to be one of those guys that are like, yeah, 1 year in Europe, that'll be great. And then 7 years in Europe and 9 years in the Middle East. And they stayed here the whole time, and they moved to Hermanus. Just touching base there on that failure. One of the things that I say to my investors, my partners, is specifically, we're not going to know everything. That is not our greatest strength. Our greatest strength is knowing that we're going to figure it out together. Cool. And when it happens, don't let your emotion get the best of you and start fighting against the other people. Come together and go, we have a problem. What are we going to do? Let's come up with solutions. No matter how stupid, let's come up with solutions.
Yeah, I like that. I want to speak about your parents, man. You go to Europe, and a lot of people would then think, oh, Flip, this guy's a trust fund baby. But with what you're talking about, to me, it doesn't even look like it, because you lost 14,000 euros. If it was the trust fund money, it would have been another, oops, it's dad's money. But if it's your money, you'd have gone through the experience that you've just shared with us. Now, I want to speak to you around your parents, because I think there's a perception out there. People think that people who are generally coming from Europe, their parents would set them up in Africa. And I'm one of those people that are like, guys, it's not like that. We're all fighting the same issues here. And they are the 1%. And by the way, me and you, we can climb to be in the 1% if we want. So don't look at where people are coming from and things like that. Just worry about what you're building now, and change your family tree, right? When you started this property investments, your parents, did they have a background in property? What did they say when you told them that you're going into property and this is what you're doing? And then eventually, did you share even with them that you lost money? This much money?
Oh, so no, I never shared. My dad he would have been mortified. So my dad comes from Wales. He comes from the mines. He was a blue collar worker. When Margaret Thatcher closed down all the mines in Wales, there went the jobs. And so he went, well, where are the mines? And they said, come to South Africa. And he went, have you got mines? And they went, yes. I remember then, he put us through school. We went to normal schools. And after going to Technikon, we had to do this work experience for 6 months at a time. And he kind of said, well, you're coming to work with me at my plant where we do the work. And I remember the first day going down into the coal pits and coming up and just coughing up this black coal dust. And after the first week, I'd wake up in the morning, look down at the bed sheets, and they were black because it just gets all in you. No matter how much you shower, it doesn't come off you. So he comes from a very middle of the road family, very much a working class kind of family. There wasn't work hard. And that was one of his, physically work hard. And that was one of his downfalls in life is he was an employee and he tried in his later years to become a businessman. And back in those days, no one understood the mindset to change from an employee to a business owner. And as you know yourself, there's a big mindset difference. An employee goes safety, face, work for one company, get a steady job, get a pension. That's all they think about. So an employee goes, what is the opportunity here? And so when he tried that, he failed miserably, unfortunately, and lost a lot of the money that he'd saved up and had to carry on working. And so he went to what he could at the time, which was real estate, as a real estate agent, and did reasonably well at that. So him and my mom became a real estate agent. So that was my first kind of introduction to real estate. And I kept looking and going, you made quite a bit of money with that, but why didn't you buy the property yourself? And I always thought that, like, you would have made more money if you bought it and sold it yourself. Why didn't you do that? But again, that's a employee mindset of just earn the salary rather than the business owner to go, well, I'm going to flip this property. So no one ever told him that I lost 14,000 euros. I still haven't. I told him about my first success where I bought it for 165,000 and sold it for 320,000 Rand up in Hoedspruit. I told him about that one a lot. But no, I never, ever told him about that. But that mindset change is a change that a lot of people have to go through. And my coach at the time called it the beautiful death. And I love that statement. He says it's the death of being an employee and the birth of being a business owner. And I love that, to change that mindset.
That's cool, man. So let's come back to today. Your parents still practicing real estate or not?
No, my dad's retired. My dad has now invested his retirement income with me.
My man.
So no pressure, like that. So those two deals I analyzed to the nth degree, and I was like, is this right, Mike? Is this right? Don't get this wrong. This is my dad's retirement income. I'm getting him 20%. That's great. That's nice. Does the numbers work? And I analyze. I went, okay, it works. I'm happy. I know what I'm doing. Trust myself. So they're in Hamana still, retired. My dad's coming up for 78 this year. My mom's coming up for 70. I'm going to go see them again on Sunday. I wanted to wait till I had my COVID jabs. It's been some time since I last seen them. But now they love what I do. My dad follows what I do, and he's like, I haven't got to worry about you. You're just taking care of yourself. And that's a great feeling. For anybody watching, when you get your parents looking at you and go, I haven't got to worry about you in the future. Wow. So property does do that for you.
Cool. I like that. What do you do now? In property, there's lots of things, but what do you do?
So I love partnering with people. I did a post earlier today about, I used to do property alone. I'd buy property and increase in value. I'd fix and flip or keep and hold. Now I invest into people, and I love it. I like partnering with people who want to start their own property investment business, but either A, don't know how, and B, don't have the resources and the tools. And so what I say is start investing with us, come along the journey with us, watch us, because once you got your money in the game, there's a big difference. People in South Africa are naturally skeptical. It's just a natural trait we have. You go to the US and the UK and they'll just throw money at you. They're like, yeah, money, go for it. Over here, they're like, not so sure about that, buddy. So I start off with people who invest money with me and I go, this is the deal we're working on. So Nick, who's down in PE, he started with us. We bought a property in Bloemfontein for an Airbnb. Like I said earlier, he invested with us. He watched what we do. We gave him his return on his investment and he went, I kind of get this and I kind of like this. And I said, okay, fine. I like the way you are as an investor. I like the way you are as a person. I'd like to partner with you, be our local partner in PE. And he's now looking for properties in PE. And he comes back to us and goes, well, I've looked at these. In the beginning, it was like, I've looked at these. What do you think? And I'm like, no. This is why. Go back and look for these. And now he's brought back 5 and I've gone, no, maybe this one could very well be, put an offer in. And then explains him why that is. So now he's really getting that business owner mindset, how to analyze a property and how to buy it properly. We haven't crossed the line with him just yet. He has bought an Airbnb unit, but a second unit local in PE. And that's what I do. I focus predominantly on trying to look for multi-lets or to look for Airbnbs, both of which are kind of higher yield compared to a single income on one property. So student accommodations coming up now. We're going to have 2 more in Bloemfontein. That's what I love doing. Joburg, we're going to probably look for more kind of flats, especially around the Rosettenville kind of area. That's kind of what I do in property. Partners with people.
You say that you invest in people. I've got a background in psychology, and I practiced change management my entire life when I was at the bank. And people are weird. and put the combination of people and money, they become more weird. And you spend your time investing in people through the money component of it. I don't know whether that is mad, crazy, or mad, but
crazy.
Where I stand, I am, by the way, I'm cutting back on all my partnerships, right, in my business. I am wanting to have less people to deal with in terms of my core partners. Let's have skilled people on the table and we work from a skill perspective, because people are just weird and you are diving in full force on it. Why? That's a painful journey.
So property is complicated.
Right.
People are complex.
Thank you.
It's a conundrum. My wealth profile, my personality style, there's a guy called Roger Hamilton which does this 8 kind of step wealth profile. I've never been a big believer in profile. Myers-Briggs, DISC, you name it. I've looked at them all and kind of liked them, but they're always about an employee. So Roger Hamilton's style is to look at it from a wealth profile. How do people like to make money? So if we have a look at example, a top middle is a creator. That's your Richard Branson. They create. On the left-hand side, you've got the mechanic. They love to tinker. They can't create something, but they can tinker with it. Don't like people, but they love processes and technology. The Lord down over here, the Lord loves details. Doesn't like people, but loves the process and technology again, but like to be very detailed orientated. Then there's me on the top right. I'm a star. I love people. I love a lot of people. Oprah Winfrey is a star. Andrew Walker is a star. We just love people for some reason. We hate process and technology, which is quite weird considering that I'm in IT as my day job, but we love people. And naturally for us, how we find our natural proclivity to make money is working with people. And the more people we work with, the more we enjoy it. That's going to be, and if I have a look at you, and I know you are on this left-hand side of the quadrant, very thought process based, very fastidious, very analytical into the future, very strategic. You're on this hand side of the equation, which will naturally proclivity go, people is not where it's at, but the process and the technology and the thought process is more behind it. So it looks like you are following, which is great, following your genius. You'll most likely bring in very specialist people on a small number to do the job correctly. Whereas I will say, let's bring as many people in as we can, but my partner will make sure that they actually do the job right. And that is why I'm following my natural path of how I get energy and how I'm enthralled by life. And so when we have an all hands meeting and there's 5 partnerships now, I'm happy. I'm like, more people, how are we doing? How can we energize each other? How can I share what he did in Bloemfontein with what she did in Cape Town? How can we correlate? How can we bring all that together? And I love doing that.
Yeah, I get it. And the reason why I say I get it is because I think at many a times we want to be on the right-hand side and we say, this is right. And then those on the left, then they'll say, no, but this is right. No, but right for who? Right? We both right. You're just working in your superpower. But if I look at you, in the day, you are doing what is not of your passion, but it's bringing food on the table today. For one to create wealth, you need to have an income. And for one to have an income, you need to have a job. And you've got that. That recipe is working. But then in the night, you are working within your passion and during the weekends because you're not at work, right? And again, that is helping in terms of pushing your wealthy because you're also now creating money out of it, right? And that is amazing. But now everyone has 24 hours in a day. How do you figure that out? How do you just put everything together? Do you have a team behind you? Let's not even start there. Maybe let's just start off with, how did you start? As an employee, we all have, no, you gotta be at work between 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, right? And you can't do anything else other than being devoted there, right? But for you, how did it start and how do you manage the time now?
And that's a great point. I'm just trying to think how I can. When I first started out years ago, so first of all, I'm in IT, that's correct, but I'm in IT management. And I also work for government now, which I absolutely love. And there are 14 departments, and not all 14 departments in government get along. There's a lot of politics in politics, funnily enough. But my role, what I'm very good at, again, is bringing people together. And so before I started there, the teams never spoke. It was a love-hate relationship between all the various teams. And now that I'm there, I energize people to talk to each other and things are getting done. And so all the teams are actually going, well, this is quite nice because he's telling me and I'm telling him and it's all kind of sharing and we're getting stuff done. And so they're energized. So whilst typical IT traditionally isn't my natural proclivity zone, it's something that I can do, the role that I'm in is one of a star to attract people together, to all work together. So there's that. The second part is, how did I do it? So like I said, when I first started, I only had a normal 9-to-5 job. And then after work, I would come home and I would just play around on the internet and go, there's a property here, there's a property there. I had an Excel sheet spread up and I'd pump some numbers in and I go, that looks quite interesting. And essentially all I needed to do to have my pension built up, and all anybody else needs to do is have their pension built up, is buy one a year. Now, to buy one a year, you don't actually need to be working every single day for a lot of reasons. One is you can go to someone like yourself who already has the deal and you can invest into that and kind of learn it yourself. Two is you can go to you and also invest and partner with you. Or three is you can do it yourself, or you can find a sourcing agent. So there are ways to utilize your team to make things a lot simpler. In the beginning, I didn't. And it took me a long time to learn, hang on, work with other people again. So that is the first part. How do I do it now? Now I have a partner who I deliberately set out to go and find. And I do recommend for people, and I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but to find somebody who balances your profile out. If you are a fastidious person with analysis, go and find somebody who's more of a get out there people person who can just go, yes, let's do this, because you will balance each other out. If you're a kind of person who always just goes, yeah, let's go and do it, trust me on this, go and find a fastidious person who knows how to balance you down, who is your handbrake, because together again, you'll balance each other out. So now I've got a partner on the top level in Zeta Homes, and Jacques is my partner, a brilliant guy. And then below us, we've got our local partnerships in each country. So they do a lot of the kind of groundwork, and the systems that we've put in place do a lot of the groundwork. So all they're kind of doing is churning through the process. And then when they go, this is a good one, then we get together, have a look at, analyze it. Now, banks are notoriously painful, and so are conveyancers in terms of documentation, and that's what kind of slows us down. So we can't do too many in a year. But it's about the partnerships again and automating some process and bringing it in. Whether you partner with a sourcing agent, partner with a training provider, partner with a solutions provider who's going to bring you properties, find somebody in the industry who's going to do it and work with them and stick with them. That's kind of what I would recommend for it. And that's how
you mentioned sourcing agent. A lot of people might not know what a sourcing agent is. What do you mean by that?
The sourcing agents are the best kept secret ever. I'm glad nobody knows about them, so I don't want to tell them what it is. Sourcing agents, so we've got an estate agent who works for the seller, and then we've got a sourcing agent who works for the buyer. Now, I want to buy property. And a sourcing agent is a great role because it's one of those, you don't need money to make money in property, but you're going to learn a hell of a lot really quickly. And some people say, oh, no, we're about to partner with a sourcing agent as well within the business. But what they'll do is they'll go out and analyze all the properties for you and then negotiate and bring it back to you. So it's already pre-packaged. And then they'll charge a fee for bringing you a pre-packaged, fully investable grade property that has already been vetted. And all you're doing is, because if you have a look at it, it's always 100, 10, 1. Analyze 100 properties, 10 are potentials, 1 you put the offer in at. They'll go look at the 100 and bring you 10. So all you got to do is choose out of those 10, one that is really good. If you get a better sourcing agent, he only brings you 1. And I've got a one sourcing agent who, whenever my phone rings and I see his name, I answer that phone no matter what I'm doing. I don't care if I'm at the office, I'm going to answer that call because I want to know, because he brings me great deals. He brought me a deal in Santon, which unfortunately I couldn't answer the phone because I didn't see it. But it was going for 3.9 million, was worth 4.8 million.
Wow.
Now, I know. I saw the phone. I called him back immediately. It's like someone else just put the offer in and they got it. You know, that's the kind of deal this sourcing agent brings me. So find people who can go and analyze deals for you. That's the sourcing agent. They are fantastic people.
Amazing. Your journey started off early 2000. You lost some money. You made some money. Where are you now?
Where am I now? So we've got 5 partnerships across South Africa.
Yeah.
We just started up another company called Airstays, which is actually going to be doing Airbnb automation because that's what's working on internally. We're looking to expand to 5 more cities next year, so 5 more partnerships going to happen next year. And then early next year in March, we're heading over to the US. We want to start investing into the US. We're looking at partnerships over there. And we're looking to do 2 more things for us, and that is to start our first Stokvel, as you have done. I'm definitely following in your footsteps. Love watching you because I'm going, okay, it's only a couple more months away and I'll be there. And we're doing a bit of training ourselves, and it's going to be on sourcing agents, you know, how to train up a sourcing agent and how to become a sourcing agent. So that's the training component. So that is where we are right now. Properties are growing. We're closing on one student accommodation now, and we're looking at another one on a rent-to-rent model, and whether or not that'll work for student accommodation. So kind of that's where we are right now.
Amazing. I like what has played out in your journey. Do you ever think that at some point you might retire early, or you like the balance of being employed and doing property on the side? Yeah.
It is a conundrum. Banks love employing people. And so I do love working with the Western Cape government. I really do. The stuff we do is magical. We help people on a daily basis. We help people in South Africa. I came back here to be part of the solution. We are helping fight COVID on the front end. We're putting applications out there that can do the normal contact tracing. That's the passports, all of that stuff. We get involved with this real stuff. Would I want to quit there? No. But if the contract ever came to an end, I'd probably say, that's enough. I have a number in mind, which I'm almost at in terms of property has to earn me that amount because that is my salary amount, and then maybe I can stop. But I always thought I would stop. But the reality is, and I asked this from another property investor, I was like, well, why don't you stop? You've done it. He's like, because now I love it. I've got the freedom of choice and I just choose to do it now. And if it ends, then it ends, but that's fine. He's got the freedom of choice and time. And I've now purposely started out, and everybody needs to do this. Put the life first. So I'll go away to Longabaan, I'll go away to Knysna, I'll go away to Caledon, and I'll work from there. And I'll make my office the day some beach up in Knysna. And I can then have everything I want to do. Then I'll try and learn how to kite surf in the afternoon. So I've combined my life first, my business second, and to make it nomadic. And my business, thankfully, COVID allows that now. They may go back to the office, but they said max will be 3 days. That means I could leave on a Thursday night and come back on a Monday afternoon. And I can work from anywhere. And that's the same for anybody. You can work and live from anywhere. Choose your life first and then make your business wrap around it.
I like the fact that it's almost in all of it is intentional. And you got the puzzles, the pieces of the puzzles, and as you're going along, you're placing them up. But along the way, you're also seeing other people, and you're like, how can I take from there to make it work for me? And you're taking other people that are at the bottom and like, how can I make it work for you, but I'm also benefiting from it? And your puzzle continues to grow like that. And I love that. That's exactly my ethos in life. I enjoy that, doing that. And by the way, someone asked me the other day, and they said to me, TJ, you're always talking to other investors and things like that, and you're teaching other people. And I never afraid of competition. And I said, there's just so many opportunities that you can't even think about competition because it's just too much, just focus on being you. I'm glad that you're going the Stokvel route. There is plenty of money there, 55 billion that is being utilized in non-asset stuff. And if we can bring a portion of that, that would help you and I. We could create a bank, man. What does success look like for you?
Happy and energized.
Happy, energized. That's it.
Yeah. So, that's one thing what you mentioned earlier. Is there not enough competition, or is there too much competition if you share? The thing is, I think for you, TJ, well, it's something I know about you. If you stopped sharing, that would kill you inside. It's part of you. You need to share. I can see it whenever you do something like that and you're sharing, you come alive because now you're giving. And so if you stop doing that, you would start to feel a little bit dead inside. And so I say, carry on doing it. Because like you say, there's too much opportunity out there for you not to share. So what does success look like to me? I have it clearly written. I have it clearly written on my vision wall. It is happy and energized. And I always kind of ask myself the two questions. Is this going to make me happy and energized? And what I did recently was I started comparing myself too much to other people, and I was saying, he's there, or he's done that now, or she's done this. And it is the worst thing you can ever do, because that is the secret to unhappiness and demotivation. Because you're going to go, he's got 20 properties in Durban, or he's got 4 businesses, or he's got this, or he's got that. And it demotivates you. But if you say, do I have one more property than yesterday? That is a very motivating thing to do. Does it make me feel happy that I have got one more partner than yesterday? Yes, it does. Does it make me happy that I'm talking to you today? Extremely. Does it make me energized that I'm talking today? Yes, extremely. And so it's less around the business nowadays and more around, is it making me happy and is it making me energized? And so when the investors are coming in, I put them on the Earn and Learn program. I go, come and learn with us. Come, what should I do? And you can do it yourself. My investor from last time is now going out to look for properties. I'm now coaching her on it to go and look for properties in areas that are operating. But I'm so flipping happy. I'm like, she's doing something that I taught her. Like, why wouldn't that make me happy and energized? I'm like, that's brilliant. That's not competition. That is mimicry, which is the highest form of flattery. So when I say I'm going into the Stokvel, the same as you do, that is the highest kind of flattery I can pay you, because I'm like, I want to be there because I like what you're doing and I'm going to follow that route. I'm not going to compare myself and I haven't got it yet. I'm going to say, I'm going to get there, and I'm slowly making that move.
I like that. Well done. Well done on your journey to your success in the next couple of months, years to come. And your journey is amazing, man. I think that if you just continue pressing on it, success is inevitable.
Thank you.
To where you are right now, to where you want to get to, nothing really stops us. Before you go, you spoke about the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Is there another book other than that one that kind of like blew your mind in recent times and has changed the course of the way you think and the way you're doing business, particularly the way you're doing business?
So I'm just looking at a few, actually my favorite bookshelves. My favorite bookshelf behind me, because I can always see it when I have anything. And I got a couple more books here and there. Like I told you, I love to learn. I love to share. I got 2.
Right.
And one is going to be an odd one. It's not going to be what you expected. The other one could well be. So So the first one, which I absolutely recommend, with The Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Good book. I like it. I've dived into it a couple of times.
Gary Keller from Keller Williams wrote this book, and just from a business mindset, to just say, think $1 million, buy $1 million, own $1 million. It is brilliant. I absolutely recommend it. It's not even that big. You can get it on Audible. A number of notes I've got in this book is ridiculous. The second one is a big flipping Bible. It's a bit more kind of verbose, and it's called Game Ranch Management. Now, that may be a strange book to read for a property investor, but my love is nature. My love is Africa. My heart is Africa. I've qualified as a game ranger. I'm a snake relocator here in Howard Bay, qualified, I'm certified. And so this stuff always interests me. But what this book does is it talks about the business of nature conservation. And it changed my mind on hunting. Because I'm not a big believer in hunting unless you're hunting for food. But for trophies, I've always disagreed with it. Until I read this, and the notion the guy said is that brings in more money for saving South Africa than anything else in the wildlife conservation industry. So we need the money to come in. So it's select a few, unfortunately, to help the masses. But it talks about how you look after your land. It talks about how you look after the animals. And it talks about the business. Now, I've always been interested in wildlife and nature for the animals without actually considering what needs to happen on the business side to make sure that happens. So, like I said, a rather bizarre book to relate my business to, but because I got such a love and a passion and a belief in our animals and our nature, it just speaks to my heart to say, think of the business of nature conservation and think of the business of property. It's not just about the property, it's a business, and you need to look at that.
Amazing stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Michael Bowen. I did tell you, another M5 successful friend. You say you stay in Hubby, right?
I do indeed, the Republic. If you ever need a visa to come and visit, I can organize a stamp on your passport for you.
I do love your town. It was the first time ever I saw white sand. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I'd seen it on TV for a long time and things like that. And my wife says to me, let me take you there. And I was there. We got there around 2-ish. And your guy's sun does never go down. And we were on a hop-on bus. The bus stopped. The route literally stopped. And by the time we were wanting to go home, it was around about 10-ish. And we were stuck there. And I'm like, this is so beautiful. So another story to tell for another day.
Well, I love it. I'm glad you come to the Bay. Please come again. I don't know what they've done to the sand, whether they bleached it white or something. Just like, you're like, why is this so particularly white? Like, why is it like other beaches, normal color?
Beautiful. It's beautiful. I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot, Michael Bowen, for sharing your story with us. And if you are interested in reaching out to Michael, his contact details, you will catch them in the description of the video itself. So all you need to do is to click in the description and you can reach out to him directly. And if any of this conversation has been informative to you, or you do have a question, in the comments below, hit us and we'll definitely get back to you. We will check you on the next video.
Thank you very much, TJ. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Awesome, brother. Let me pause that.